Welcome to 10-Minute IELTS. Today, we'll be talking about writing task 1, specifically how to handle line graphs. Now, it needs to be 150 words, but what most students don't understand is that it has to be 150 words that answers the task. If you're just going to dictate the labels, dictate the figures, and dictate the years, that will not add to the word count. I repeat, titles, labels, and figures do not add to the word count unless they are answering this task. And what is that task? The task is to summarize the information by selecting main features, which means you are not to give all of the figures, you don't have to give all of the years, and you don't have to give all of the information on the diagram because you're supposed to only select main features. If you select features that are not considered part of the main diagram, then that will be a penalty. And making comparisons based on what you've selected. So again, don't give everything, just select the most important ones. The introduction generally isn't part of the word count because it doesn't answer this task, so get it done as quickly as possible. You could state the type of graph by saying the line graph shows percentage of total music sales by method. A lot of students are told that they need to paraphrase. That only applies to writing task 2. I repeat, paraphrasing and vocabulary apply to writing task 2, not to writing task 1. Writing task 1 is about accuracy, analysis, and your ability to prioritize by selecting main information, not paraphrasing. You could just end this with there are 3 categories, and that will do for the intro. What will add to the word count, however, is the overview, because the overview acts as your summary for the main features. And when you deal with a line graph, the most important features are the trends. The trends can be categorized into 3 main types. You could have an increasing trend, a decreasing trend, or a stagnant trend. And it's easy enough to identify. Take note that trends are based on only 2 key points: the start versus the end. They do not care about the middle points. Like this one in 2014, it is completely ignored. The only thing that trends care about are the beginning points, such as in 2011, and the ending points, such as in 2018. So if we're looking at streams, where it starts in 2011 with this low point, and it ends in 2018 with this higher point, then that is an increasing trend, simply because the start was much lower than the end. If we're going to look at CDs purchased, however, where it starts in 2011 with a higher point, but it ends in 2018 with a lower point, then that is what we call a decreasing trend. Again, we don't care about the middle points, we just look at the start being higher than the end. Stagnant applies when the start is exactly equal to the end, but none of those line graphs have that here. Even for downloads, when you look at the starting value in 2011, it was higher than 30, but it ended in 2018 with exactly 30. This means to say that the starting figure was higher than the ending figure, therefore the overall general trend of downloads is still considered decreasing. I repeat, the overall general movement of downloads is still decreasing. I don't care about 2014 or 2015. I only care about the start and the end. That's how you identify general or overall trends. Hope that's clear enough so that when we get to this, we could write our overview by saying overall streams had an increasing trend. Meanwhile, downloads and CDs purchased had decreasing trends. I hope I don't need to explain anymore how I got these trends. I think it was pretty clear that if the starting point is lower than the ending point, like in streams, then it is an increasing trend. If the starting point is higher than the ending point, like in downloads and CDs purchased, then it is a decreasing trend. And that's it. That's how you select main features. There's no need for figures yet. The job of the bodies, though, is to prove this. It's supposed to explain the overview and make comparisons that will help prove this to be correct. We could split it into 3 bodies. Body 1 will talk about streams. Body 2 will talk about downloads. And Body 3 can talk about CDs purchased. Notice, this means I will not be comparing streams to downloads and downloads to CDs purchased or CDs purchased to streams, because that is improper organization of points. What's important to consider when you split your bodies is that it should be organized in the sense that one body should be equal to one main category. That's why it's so important to understand how many categories you will be stating in the intro, which can identify how many bodies you'll be discussing also. We'll start with streams first, and simple enough, all we have to do is mention how it started. Remember, we want to prove the trend by talking about the start and end. Streams started in 2011 with approximately 5%. How did I get that? If you look at the beginning figure here for the blue part, which is streams, it was between 0 and 10. Now, we are not allowed to guess figures such as 6, 7, 8, or 9, but we are allowed to make an approximation using a figure that is exactly between 0 and 10, which would be 5%. Then, you could say, however, it ended in 2018 with a little over or slightly over 40. How did we get that? Again, we just look at the ending year and ending figure now, and you can see it was not exactly at the 40 line. Do not guess 41. Do not guess 42. Those will be penalties. The most accurate estimate is slightly over 40. So that's why we have that figure here. Now we make the comparison that's relevant. To make a comparison, use the figures that you've given, and 40 minus 5 is 35%. So you could say, therefore, the difference between the start and end is around 35%. Easy enough, 40 minus 5 is 35, but since they are not exact figures, you could just approximate with around 35%. Do not guess it as 33 or 34 or 36. Around 35 is the best estimate we can make. Now, when we end this one, we must mention again our overview that we will prove as a result, streams had an increasing trend. And there you have it. That's our body 1. And you'll notice, did it select the main features? Yes, it selected 2011, the starting main feature, and the ending main feature, and then made a comparison to prove our overview, which is a trend. That's why you don't need to give all of the years or all of the dates or points. And you can do this with all of the bodies. If I'm going to do body 2 now, such as downloads, I could say downloads started in 2011 with approximately 35% this time, since it is between 30 and 40. However, it ended in 2018 with exactly, or you could just say 30%, since we can see that the red line clearly ends here at 30. Therefore, the difference between the start and end is not around 35 this time, it will just be around 5%, because 35 minus 30 is 5%. As a result, downloads had this time a decreasing trend, because the beginning value was higher than the starting value. We do not care about any of the other figures in between the start and end because they are not considered main features that are relevant to our overview. I hope that's clear enough. Now, to finish up, you can also do the same with the third body. Just say that CDs purchased started in 2011 with approximately 55%. However, it ended in 2018 with, this time, around 25%. Therefore, the difference between the start and end is not around 5% because 55 minus 25 is now 30%. As a result, CDs had a decreasing trend still, since the beginning figure was 55, which is much higher than the ending figure, which is around 25. And there you have it. In just 10 minutes, you've finished an introduction, an overview, and you've written 3 different kinds of bodies that will total to 150 words. I hope it's clear that you do not need to discuss all of the years and all of the figures simply because you will not have enough time to do that, and that is not the task being asked for. The task again is to summarize by only selecting the main features and then comparing them. I hope this video has been helpful. Otherwise, you may message me in comments below for any questions. Thank you so much for your time and good luck with your review.